What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to MKE MANIACI, and today we got partsFUNknown 10 times WWE got the Royal Rumble wrong, man. Now listen, we're in Royal Rumble season, eventually leading up to WrestleMania season, man. My favorite time of the year to be a wrestling fan is around this time. Now look, the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, other than WrestleMania, is my favorite WWE pay-per-view. I'm sorry, premium live event. But there has been a little bit of, it could be argued, some bad booking decisions around the Royal Rumble event throughout the year. So without further ado, man, we just gonna jump right into it. Let's get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to not be sued by Michael Buffer, because hot damn, he'll get you apparently. Deep in the heart of Rumble month, the best time of the year, and of course the biggest question on everyone's lips is who should win the Royal Rumbles? Give me Liv Morgan and Finn Balor, but that's just me, please and thank you. But WWE...
Okay, and keep in mind, this video came out 10 months ago. So keep that in mind. This isn't current. You know, and obviously Finn Balor and Liv Morgan did not win last year's Royal Rumble.
He probably won't give me what I want. They've demonstrated on many occasions that what I want and what I get are estranged bedfellows. Vince and friends cock a snooker my hopes and dreams and repeatedly give me Batistas on toast. But honestly, they can never kill my love of the Royal Rumble. They just can't do it. And they've tried many times. How many? I'm Adam, hailing from partsFUNknown. And here are 10 times WWE got the Royal Rumble wrong. And if you would not like to get your life wrong, you better subscribe to our channel. We're taking a more aggressive tone in 2022. So subscribe, you dumb prick. Number 10, 2017. Who won? Randy Orton. 5 years ago. Bloody hell, 5 years ago. Stop it, passage of time. Stop it. 2017 was hyped as one of the most legend-studded Rumbles of all time. Goldberg, Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, Jericho. Any of these guys could have conceivably walked away with the win. Instead, that somehow went to Randall. Mr. Keith Orton picked up his second Royal Rumble win. And maybe I'm just automatically against anyone winning the Rumble more than once, but hot dog, that is underwhelming.
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of my bias too. I mean, and I know, you know, it's like you shouldn't be like that, but once you already won the Royal Rumble, in my mind, I'm like, they should not win it again. And especially Randy Orton won it, like, okay, he won it in 2009 and he won it in 2017. Within a 10-year span, he won the Royal Rumble 2 times in less than 10 years. Did he need to win the Royal Rumble? No, he did not need to win the Royal Rumble at all. Randy did not need that Royal Rumble win. He could have probably won it at the Chamber. He could have won a #1 contenders match. Hell, you could have named Randy Orton #1 contender. He did not need to win that year's Royal Rumble. Now, who could have won? Like I said, it would have been nice to see Chris Jericho win the Rumble that year. You know, he went on to WrestleMania to fight KO. And Kevin Owens was Universal Champion leading up to that WrestleMania. Before that, let's just forget about that, the fast lane. But hey, we could have had Kevin Owens versus Jericho. Jericho could have finally got a Royal Rumble win that year.
To the point where they had to throw hated Roman in there in order to give Randy a pop when he finally won. And who should have won? Tempted to say Chris Jericho.
Exactly.
One, he deserved it after decades of not winning the thing. And two, to set up what should have been the Universal title match at WrestleMania 33, Jericho versus KO. But actually, I'm going to go for Bray Wyatt. WWE should have had Bray win the Rumble, Orton win the title at Elimination Chamber, and then have Wyatt versus Orton for the WWE title at Mania, with Bray winning. Obvious copters.
That would have actually been probably even better. You know, Jericho, no offense to Jericho, he's a legend, but yeah, he's a little old. Bray Wyatt, that would have been a great way. Even though this year, I think Bray Wyatt is going to win a Royal Rumble. That's just my personal pick. I think Bray Wyatt will win the Royal Rumble. But yeah, that would have been nice too. You know, if they kind of like flopped it around. I don't understand why they didn't do that. Because, you know, Bray only really held the title for like a month after winning at the Chamber. But I don't know why they didn't do that.
Wyatt versus Orton for the WWE title at Mania, with Bray winning. Obvious copters. Number 9, 1990. Who won? Hulk Hogan. In 1993, WWE made a very welcome and defining change to the Rumble format in that the winner would be guaranteed a World Championship match at WrestleMania, a stipulation that lives with the Rumble to this day. That's all well and good, but it did mean that from 1988 to 1991, 1992 had its own unique stipulation, anyone could win the match and see their stock elevated in the company without having to tie WWE into booking them in the WrestleMania main event, which means that Hulk Hogan, current WWE champion, did absolutely not need to win his first Rumble. Who should have won? Mr. Perfect. Fun fact, in the weeks leading up to the 1990 Royal Rumble, Mr. Perfect, who was undefeated in WWE for the last few years, was booked to win the Rumble match. At the 11th hour, Hogan successfully campaigned to win the match instead, which was a crying shame. Perfect and Hogan had been feuding for months, a feud that saw Perfect actually smash up Hogan's WWE title belt, seeing as Hogan would eventually beat Perfect at Saturday night's main event 26. Having Perfect win the Rumble would have been, well, it would have been a perfect escalation of the rivalry. Number 8.
That would have actually been cool. Now, I didn't watch wrestling. I wasn't even born in 1990. I was born in 94. But hearing about this, it would have made sense. You know, Mr. Perfect, I'll go back and oftentimes watch some of his matches. Definitely one of my favorite Intercontinental champions of all time, man. R.I.P. Mr. Perfect. But yeah, Mr. Perfect could have been, you know, one of the biggest stars for the WWE. Winning the Royal Rumble, Hulk Hogan didn't need it. You know, Hogan was already larger than life. I feel like matches like the Rumble should always be used to elevate like the next, you know, flock of people, you know, that deserve that big push. Hogan did not.
In fact, win the Rumble would have been, well, it would have been a perfect escalation of the rivalry. Number 8, 2020 Women's. Who won? Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
And speaking of last-minute changes, WWE has a habit of switching out the Rumble winner at the last minute, sometimes even on the day of the pay-per-view, premium live event itself. One such fate befell the scheduled winner of the 2020 Women's Rumble, which was eventually won by Charlotte. While Big Charlie eventually winning a Rumble match seems like an inevitability, Flair...
Okay, this right here, and I'm not speaking into existence, but I low-key have a feeling that Charlotte might win the Women's Royal Rumble this year. I have a feeling. But 2020, Shayna Baszler should have won the Royal Rumble. She was on a rampage at that time. And I know Vince wasn't too keen of Shayna, but, you know, leading into WrestleMania 36, you know, the COVID WrestleMania, Performance Center WrestleMania, whatever you want to call it, you know, Charlotte challenged for the NXT Women's Championship. She could have just went to NXT to do that. Did not need the Royal Rumble. Shayna Baszler fought Becky. It's like, come on now.
Flair's stock in the company was so high that she could simply dictate a challenge to Rhea Ripley if she wanted an NXT title shot. In fact, doing so would have made her appearance at NXT TakeOver Portland even more of a wonderful shock. Who should have won? Shayna Baszler.
Exactly.
More than anything, just so that getting her to WrestleMania 36 didn't ruin an entire Elimination Chamber match, because it really, really did. A lot of things should have happened with Baszler in early 2020. She was the world's most fearsome monster heading out of NXT, and she absolutely needed to make a dominant debut, and should have done so by winning the Rumble before going on to beat Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 36. Still, at least she got to feud with a doll in her main roster career, so all's not lost there. Number 7, 1993. Who won? Yokozuna. I mean, at the end of the day, it makes sense that Yokozuna won the 1993 Royal Rumble. He was a foreign menace and represented the biggest guy that Vince could find who wouldn't also ping a drug test failure in the wake of the WWE steroid scandal. The company needed a different kind of giant, and the 500-pound Japanese Samoan certainly fit the weight requirements. But was he the best pick for that particular Rumble?
I think Macho Man should have won, honestly. I think Macho Man should have won 1993.
That particular year? We don't think so. Who should have won? Randy Savage.
Exactly.
In 1993.
Like, come on. I promise you I did not watch this video before reacting to this. I know it seems like it, but it's just a coincidence, man. You know, Randy Savage and Yokozuna were the last two. I remember the iconic, Randy Savage drops the elbow. Yokozuna I think he tried to pin Yokozuna. He just pushed him over the ropes.
WWE was in a period of transition where the older titans of the golden era, Savage, Hogan, Warrior, were departing the company to make way for the new generation. Such a thing requires the passing of a torch, an act that Hogan infamously refused to do for Vince's new face of the company, Bret the Hitman Hart. At WrestleMania 9, Bret lost the title to Yoko before Hogan snaffled it for himself in a famously rubbish bit of booking. How much better could it have been if Savage had won the Rumble, one of his last great accolades before heading to WrestleMania? Randy Savage versus Bret Hart could have been fucking dynamite, with Savage putting over the Hitman, cementing Bret as the top guy. Number 6, 1999. Who won? Vincent Kennedy McMahon. How could we forget? The Vince Russo-iest thing in a lot.
Hey, I'm not mad at Vince winning the Rumble that year because, listen, that's in the midst of the Attitude Era. You know, you want to get a reaction out of the fans. You already had Stone Cold whipping Vince's ass every chance that he got. So it's like, come on now. The McMahons really were a pivotal, you know, they played a very pivotal role during the Attitude Era, man. So I can't be mad at that.
Terrifying legacy of Vince Russo things. 1999 was a weird year for WWE, with every month seeing some sort of Looney Tunes new shenanigan taking place. Austin becoming joint CEO of the company, China winning the right to challenge for the WWF title at SummerSlam, Vince actually winning the WWF title in September on SmackDown, Triple H marrying an unconscious Stephanie. It was a mad year, and boy, did the Rumble set the tone, with Vince McMahon winning the entire thing before going on to forfeit the shot, and also something about a cage match and Big Show, I guess. And look, it was just a lot of screwy nonsense. Who should have won? Steve Austin. I mean, of course he should have. Austin was going on to face The Rock at WrestleMania, was he not? So, like, Austin should have won the Rumble. Wrestling doesn't have to be this hard, boy.
I think it was because Austin won 1997? Austin won 97, right? I want to say it was 97. But you know, and this was 99. It could have just been like one of those, you know, we don't want to, you know, kind of bore the fans. Like, oh, you know, he just won. Like, this guy just won it. You don't want to shove somebody down somebody's throat like that. But, yeah. But I definitely do agree Austin should have won the Royal Rumble. I mean, he was the, you know, other than The Rock, you know, there was Triple H. He was, you know, and there was The Undertaker. And then there was Kane. But Austin pretty much was like one of the biggest.
Now, I know what you're thinking. That would give Austin 3 wins in a row, right? Surely that's bad. Well, that's why. Number 5, 1997. Who won? Steve Austin. This should have been different.
But think about it, though. 97, 98, and 99. Like, that would have, you know, Austin could have been the king of the Royal Rumble.
WWE are never satisfied taking the easy road.
I mean, and, you know, he won 2001, so he would have won 4 Royal Rumbles. When you think about it, 4 Royal Rumbles.
In 1994, 2 men won it to throw the grap amongst the pigeons, and in 1997, the road to Mania was further complicated by Steve Austin getting eliminated on camera so everyone could see it, then slithering back into the ring like the naughtiest snake since Randall, and ousting the man who actually won the match, Bret the Hitman Hart. Who should have won? Bret the Hitman Hart. Like Randy Savage earlier in this list, this would end up being the last time the Hitman could have won the Rumble, and his first time doing it without having to share the honors with Lex Luger. And it would have been the perfect setup to what should have been the WrestleMania 13 main event, the rematch that everyone wanted to see, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels 2. Of course, HBK had his own thoughts on that booking, so this is probably the most understandable call on this list. But in a better, less dumb, less petty world, the Hitman winning should have been the result, saving Austin's first Rumble win for his coronation year, 1998. Number 4, 2012. Who won? Sheamus. In some ways, when it...
I thought 2011 had a bad decision, but, you know, I couldn't be mad at Alberto Del Rio that year. But I damn sure was mad at Sheamus that year. I know it's not his fault he doesn't book it, but Chris Jericho obviously should have won the Royal Rumble in 2012. If it wasn't, like, come on now. Like, Jericho, it was all signs pointed to Chris Jericho winning the Royal Rumble that year. It made the most sense. Sheamus, literally, and you know, he is, you know, Sheamus is a legend now. You know, he's one of the vets now. All respect to him. But damn it, he was not over at all in 2012. Not over at all. Like, first of all, he's already been a world champion prior to that. So... And then we heading into WrestleMania. I know the big money match, John Cena versus The Rock. You know, they ain't gonna put that much emphasis on the World Heavyweight Championship. But dog, Sheamus should not have won that. I'm sorry. Sheamus should not have won the Rumble.
Comes to the Royal Rumble, it's a good thing WWE has 2 world titles as it doubles the potential winners of the Rumble match. Sometimes, though, that's a double-edged sword that plunges right into the back of the obvious winner that everyone wants, just so WWE can swerve us on the day and do the most surprising, aka least desirable thing. Shayna Baszler knows what's up, and so does one other superstar. Who should have won? Chris Jericho. Y2J returned to WWE in early 2012 with a weird and interesting gimmick. He'd be super jazzed about being there and then refuse to speak, walking away from the ring, leaving fans puzzled, going through manic episodes basically, and then suddenly crashing. This lasted for a few weeks until the Rumble Go Home Raw, where Jericho said one thing, just one. This Sunday at the Rumble, it's going to be the end of the world as you know it. Okay, cool, everyone thought. A plan's in place. He's going to win the Rumble, then everything will be revealed, an overdue Rumble win, capping off a hot return and weekly intrigue. Then WWE thought, sorry, that's a bit predictable. Let's have bland, happy Sheamus win it instead for no reason. Just a good job. Number 3, 2014. Who won? Batista. Well, this one's obvious. Batista showed up for a WrestleMania main event against Randy Orton that no one wanted to see, looking like Pitbull's dad, and solidifying in everyone's mind that instead of old Evolution, they'd actually rather see a payoff to the Daniel Bryan storyline that's been running since SummerSlam, please and thank you. So crushingly inevitable did Orton versus Batista seem, and so much did the crowd really not give a honk, that when Rey Mysterio, beloved Rey Mysterio, entered the Rumble at number 30...
They booed him! Now, this Royal Rumble was the prime example of Vince McMahon's vision. I remember the build-up to Batista's return and everything, and it was cool, you know, it's like, you know, it's been 4 years, Batista's back, you know, that's awesome, but winning the Royal Rumble, it like Batista literally played no part in the biggest story. I mean, you could have at least had CM Punk win the damn Royal Rumble this year. You know, ironic, you know, this was the night he walked out, but you know, well, the day before he walked out. But I mean, you could have even had Roman, you could have had Dean, maybe Seth, you could have, you know, sped up Seth's push. Obviously Daniel Bryan, like, come on, it made the most sense to do anybody else, but you choose Batista. Not only do you choose Batista, but you choose to give us a match that we've seen so many times before. For the main event of WrestleMania, these folks really sat in that room and said, you know what? Batista versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania in 2014. That's going to be the match that's going to sell the tickets. No, it's not. Like, come on.
Became clear that Daniel Bryan would not be in the match, then the crowd elected to not only turn out of Puff Batista and his big brain head full heel, but they turned every single other person in the Rumble full heel as well. Who should have won? I mean, have you not been paying attention? Daniel Bryan should have won. A guaranteed title shot at Mania being the perfect fly in the Authority's ointment.
Considering they screwed him over at SummerSlam right before this Royal Rumble, the story would have wrote itself. Like, what was the original plans for Bryan? Wasn't it like Bryan versus, was it Sheamus? I don't know. They had like some weird plan for Bryan at WrestleMania this year or that year, you know, and it ended up being him winning, you know, this iconic moment right here. It's just crazy.
How would they try and screw him out of it? Angles for days instead of booze. All the booze for Batista. Number 2, 2015. Who won? Roman Reigns. Who should have won? Daniel Bryan again.
No. They got it right in 2015. Honestly, they got it right. Roman Reigns won it. You know, obviously 2015 was Roman's year. Honestly,
it's the hardest and cruelest WWE have ever trolled us. Sheer, unabashed, pant-dropping, butthole-brandishing contrarianism that genuinely beggars belief. On the road to the Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns was the obvious winner for months. Months! Everyone knew he was being strapped to a rocket. People weren't quite
And I wasn't against it. I mean, you know, as fans, we always, well, let's get a new guy to win it. Like, somebody new. You know, and yeah, Bryan never won it before, but, you know, you wanted the next big star. Like, I think they got it right in 2015.
asked for it. He seemed miscast as the new John Cena, but hey, there weren't really other options. And then WWE dropped another option back on TV weeks before the Rumble. Daniel Bryan, who never lost his title, making a heroic recovery from a deeply concerning injury, who infamously didn't get to win the 2014 Rumble, returned before the 2015 Rumble. Surely everyone thought it would make no sense for WWE to do this if Bryan wasn't winning, and then he didn't. Not only that, Bryan was eliminated early, looking like a total loser, and the first entrant after him was Goldust.
Yeah, they should have had Bryan kind of like probably, made it to the end, at least.
Is the first thing from WWE production on the screen after crowd favorite Daniel Bryan was ousted with the giant words, "Shattered Dreams." On one hand, that is an exceptional prank. On the other, you too. And number one, those times WWE broke the Rumble itself. Every other entry on this list has been about the big dub getting the winner of the Royal Rumble match wrong. But for our final stop on this list, we wanted to cover both years where WWE got the format of the match wrong, messing with a winning formula in a way that made it worse. I know it's hard to imagine WWE taking something that isn't broken and feeling the need to fix it, but it's had two major medals with the Rumble in the past 30 years. In 1995, they reduced the gap between entrants to 1 minute, in all likelihood to be kind to Shawn Michaels and the British Bulldog, who were booked to enter 1 and 2 and last right until the final two. But the end result was one of the worst ever Rumbles, a frenetic mess that managed to feel slight at a mere 38 minutes long, and also drag thanks to the lack of spots created by endless arrivals of wrestlers. That's bad. In 2011, WWE went the other way, booking 40 men to compete in the Rumble.
I don't understand. What was the hate with the 40-man Rumble? I actually liked the 40-man Rumble. I mean, yeah, some entrants, it was kind of like pointless, but it was a cool concept. Like, I actually really liked the 40 participant Rumble. A lot of people don't, though.
The usual 30. It's not the worst Rumble ever, but the extra 10 slots were just used to cram more lower mid-carders in there, which didn't justify at all the matches.
But think about this now. At this time, everything was so different in WWE, but right now, imagine a 40-person Royal Rumble. You got the NXT roster stacked. We got NXT, is it NXT Europe coming, Raw, SmackDown, like, it's so many guys that's, like, stacked. It would be crazy to see them all in the ring together, man. It would be dope.
Extra length. What should have felt like the biggest Rumble ever felt much more low rent for having a bunch more jobbers in it. The greatest Royal Rumble had the exact same problem, and worse, having 20 extra jobbers be a part of it. But I don't count that because that Rumble happened in the shadow dimension. And that's our list. What do you think is the biggest time that WWE has ever got the Royal Rumble wrong, other than 2015, obviously, because that's what everyone's going to say. So what's the second one? What's the second one? Tell us in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video around.
I think, honestly, if Bray Wyatt doesn't win the Royal Rumble this year, they got it wrong. I know a lot of people are, they want Cody Rhodes to win. I don't think Cody Rhodes is gonna win it. If not Bray Wyatt or Cody, maybe Seth. But I think Bray Wyatt is gonna win this year's Royal Rumble. Who do y'all think is gonna win the Royal Rumble this year, man? Sound off down below. Link down below in the description to check this video out in its entirety with no interruptions. Y'all new to the channel, hit that subscribe button for me. Thank you for watching MKE MANIACI.